I think that I am suffering from Martin Quaid derangement syndrome. So expect a lot more reviews of Marvel now, and a big, shocking announcement for the end of this video. Speaking of surviving and recovering from Martin Quaid, here is Excellent Men issue 77, a book which for 6 years stumbled around after Martin Quaid took an enormous shit on the franchise with his Onslaught Man crossover. It wasn't until Van Morrison in 2001 that the books regained any semblance of the success they had pre-Onslaught Man. Maybe Bob Patrick Harris, he learnt the first time that letting Martin Quaid write your comics is fucking toxic. No, right, okay, I am really honestly pissed off that Martin Quaid exists, but I'll try not to mention the poster boy for premature ejaculation again in this video. To cheer us up, we have this folded out page that tells you who the characters are and what's going on, and if the book wasn't off to a good enough start with this, then we also have Storms being buried alive on top of the decaying corpse of the whore. It's getting a positive review. It didn't matter what else the comic did after this. It has already won before you even started reading it. Our team for this story is Fetish Fuel, Storms, Wolfman, Mara, Alice Baraga, Cannonballs, and finally Maggot. So really, only Cannonballs and Fetish Fuel that I can say that I'm invested in. Tell you what, if while Storms was buried alive with the rotted skeleton of the worst woman ever, if I turned over and it was just Cannonballs rattling Fetish Fuel, I would be fine with that. Get Gregory Landsman to draw it. The Excellent Men are, at their core, hardcore pornography. Oh, by the way, you might hear loads of banging noises in the background. The house across the street is having their garden excavated or something. The construction workers are very noisy and not considerate of the idea that someone nearby might be recording a review of Excellent Men 77 for YouTubes. Maybe there is dinosaur bones in their garden, or maybe they murdered the bloke from next door who went missing and eventually they had to sell his house off at an auction. If you hear loud thunderous noises, it is probably that. There is trouble in Storms' homeland of Africa, so the Excellent Men, they're gonna go in there and check it out. This was during the period where Fetish Fuel, she had some crazy teleporting through Shadow's power. It's not worth explaining all the backstory involved with that for what is just a very quick convenience to get the team to Africa as soon as possible. However, while travelling, Wolfman and Fetish Fuel, they are derailed. They're attacked by mind-controlled pawns of our baddie, resulting in the two of them being separated from the rest of the team. Storms, she is happy to be back home and she starts prattling on about being the goddess and the queen and all that stuff. And I do like that Cannonballs, he is written as the one who is like urging caution and telling them to think before they act. Except I think the idea is that Cannonballs, he's meant to be highlighted as being a stuck in the mud. What's happening is the baddie is Shadow Thief. That is him over there. Shadow Thief was a character that I hated for years. But in that TV show, Legend, starring Daniel Stevens as Daniel Stevens, as Legend as Daniel Stevens, that really did some impressive setup with Shadow Thief and treating him like a horror movie monster. By the way, I never got past episode 3 of that show. Not because I got bored or gave up on it. I just forgot that it existed. But the show proved to me that even Shadow Thief, he can be used well, and some effective stuff can be done with them. We've got a page here showing cannonballs, having one of them psychic mental tortures. I'm not a fan of them. They are trite and overdone, but at least they are giving cannonballs something today. He has been reminded of the mining accident that he caused in his origine. But part of the plot is that Shadow Thief, he has purposely made sure to get Wolfman and Fetish Fuel taken off the playing board because of their experience and skills. And I took this to mean that after those two, and Storms, who factors into the plot, I took this to mean that cannonballs was his next major concern, because what we have got is obviously a team of Storms and a bunch of newbies. This justifies why we have this kind of lousy lineup. It is a chance to have these newer members face against this villain and have like a fresh set of eyes on Shadow Thief. They have no understanding of Shadow Thief or what he is capable of, so they are susceptible to his powers. Like, he cures Mara of her physical mutation, her abnormal bone growth, and now she feels like she's beautiful. And we have got a little bit here with Maggot and his pet maggots, which is probably the most insightful of these base level psychic manipulations. Maggot's symbiotic relationship with his maggots is only perceived by Shadow Thief as a problem that needs curing, but Maggot himself feels more dismayed at the prospect of losing his maggots. Also, Shadow Thief, he has broken Wolfman and house-trained him. Or maybe it is just an illusion. I have not read issue 2 yet. These new members, they suck. I concede there is a unique power set or some creative prospect with both Mara and Maggot, but I didn't think either of them were ready to be starring characters in one of the 2 mainline Excellent Men books. Both of them would make more sense on Generation Next. And Alice Baraga, she is bland to the nth degree. Her powers are boring, her character is lifeless, and she is so ill-fitting of this team that she doesn't even have like a superhero code name. And the story is more focused on Fetish Fuel, as it probably should be. It doesn't really use her that well. She doesn't even have like a bit where she's using her mind powers and she like bites her lip or looks like she's about to have an orgasm. Shadow Thief, he has taken control of all this African village to summon Storms and the Excellent Men. And it is another baddie who wants to marry Storms. It's like Christopher Clairvoyant never left. In all fairness, this is one of the few times when that idea isn't turgid fan wanking. Shadow Thief and Storms, they have a whole bullshit history together, so now revealing that he wants to marry her, it's sensible. It's only really invalidated by all them Christopher Clairvoyant stories with Mr. Doom and Dracula and virtually everyone else wanting to marry her. Anyway, it turns out that this is all a trick. Shadow Thief is understandably more into Fetish Fuel. I understand that obsession. Fetish Fuel, she is special. I have said before, she is a character that seems to exist just to be sexualised. It's hard to feel much or any guilt or shame fantasising or objectifying her, because that is all she really contributes to comics. And like, as simple-minded and basic as it makes me sound, I would happily smash her non-stop. So what we are seeing here is a big psychic battle on the astral train between Fetish Fuel and Shadow Thief. And it turns out that everything has been a wind-up. Shadow Thief wasn't interested in Storms or the village, or even Fetish Fuel really. He just wanted Fetish Fuel to use as a weapon to send out like a psychic EMP wave thingy that temporarily cancels out all of the psychic and mental powers on Earth. It is explained especially poorly here, but we saw the after effects of this psychic blackout thing in issues of both Cables and Generation Next. And there's Emma Frosties to remind me that there is someone who offers everything Fetish Fuel offers, but even more. A fully rounded character who I love in body and soul. Hashtag one true love. Also, Shadow Thief reveals that it's been a trick just to disable the mental powers on Earth, and it's to be continued. It's not a perfect issue, there's some okay ideas in there, and I did think the fight with Shadow Thief and Fetish Fuel, while visually a bit stilted due to the art not being that inventive or experimental, I think the writing attached to the fight was very well done, and it finally felt like someone had taken time to think about Fetish Fuel's character and her personality, rather than just having her bend over for us. With that said, I didn't see why we can't have both. Have a character assessment while she lies on a bed fingering herself. There's some good stuff in there, it feels a bit rushed, but I think a lot of this hinges on how part 2 pans out. By the way, I am boycotting new DC Comics. I rate this 7 thumbs up.